What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I am back with some more Age Mythology Retold action in the left-hand corner of the map, playing as the Blue Zeus. It is none other than Age Mythology's very own third or fourth place, I can't remember, I've already forgotten, finisher of the Challengers League. His name is Eisomartos, effectively putting him in the top 20, right? That's what that means, because you have the top 16 from Champions, and the Challengers who place top 4, they're top 20. That's literally how it works. On the other side of the map, in the red color, playing as Tsukiyomi, everyone's favorite god to hate at the moment. His name is Joe. He is public enemy number 1. He has abused Egyptian since the invention of the wheel, basically. And now he goes, you know what's better than Egyptian? Well, Egyptian, except the chariot archer comes out of your barracks, basically. And he goes, great, I'm going to play that. So he's playing some Tsukiyomi for us today. Should be an interesting one. Eisomartos has been playing some very, very nice Zeus lately. I'm really interested to see how these guys are going to be going at it at the top level. Lots of problems to have to overcome early on from the Tsukiyomi, especially with regards to things like early bolt, for example, on say a samurai or a bushi or a on the musha, I guess. You don't have to bolt the myth unit, but those sort of options are available while attacking in with Jason and Heracles and getting yourself out that super early Olympian patronage, which can be very, very good. We are seeing the temple coming up with 2 villages over here. Let's check out some relics, see if there'll be any impact. We've got that Ulla's bow. Always nice. Fantastic relic for whomever picks that one up in this matchup for sure. Over here, we've got that Dwarven Horseshoes. Another amazing relic here for our Tsukiyomi player. Might not be a terrible idea to grab that one. Well, of course, it's a good idea for the Zeus to grab it as well. Just keep it away from the Tsukiyomi. But nonetheless, down the bottom, we got the Kopesh of Horus. 1x versus myth units. Will be very nice there for both players to grab, but definitely one that Eisomartos is going to want to get his hands on here. And then over onto this side, we have the Demeter's Throne, which is going to be some storehouse build time reduction, cost reduction, and all the other good stuff. As Athena is on the way, and Eisomartos is going to be looking for some very, very early pressure. There is no doubt about it. He's got the villager on the favor here as well. He's going for the Jason. He's going to get himself the Heracles out. He will be over in his opponent's base very, very quickly to put a lot of damage on. The question is, what do you do after this? Because I mean, this is just this is the obvious thing to do right now with Zeus. This upgrade here, I'll just show you it right in this spot. Olympian parentage was changed a while back, or maybe like last patch or the patch before, to give hero regeneration, and they took away the train time speed on it. And basically all that means is in the early game, any amount of early pressure you try to put on, that's going to get healed up. After that, you don't really see the regen being super impactful. Of course, like if you take a little bit of a fight somewhere, it's fine. As this Miko over here really does need to pick up this relic, as the Jason is wandering in. Is it a big fake? Oh, that's a sad Miko right there. He had the upgrade and everything, just forgot to do it. And nonetheless, a couple of those Kitsune now out looking for pressure as the walls are coming up on the front here. I love this play from Joe. This is super Egyptian orientated. It's from the Egyptian playbook in a big way. If your opponent advances really fast and is looking for early pressure and things like that, you can easily just throw up a couple of buildings, get the nice walls in, have your base nice and defended up here. As really the only weakness in Joe's base is going to be this wood line over here. Food situation as well, as he has to move onto this chicken over here as the Heracles comes through and is looking for a little bit of forward pressure. And you can see here that the Heracles will take a little bit of damage here from the Talent Center, but it will get healed back up. You don't really want to be taking these trades. Of course, the Heracles gets down low HP a little bit, but you really don't want to be taking these trades because it's just going to go back into HP. As a villager does get sniped over here, is a little bit too much pressure onto this position. Heracles coming through, trying to pick this villager off, as it does end up getting taken down. 2 kills from the Minotaur Heracles duo here, as Heracles chasing after the Mikor, coming back over here to try and hit those villages. Yeah, the Mikor actually does end up going down, doesn't garrison there. I'm surprised to see no bolt onto that Bushi for the time being, as the Jurikumo is going to get charged down, and Heracles still alive here, can just pull back, go back up to full HP. Of course, it's going to take some time, but still an option there, as now the Mikor over here also under some pressure. Heracles trying to chase that one down, but it looks like the Mikor will not get back into the town center, as another sniper. Now the hoplites are coming through. The pressure is well and truly on the way here, as I was talking up the Heracles just going to be able to heal up, but down to 15 HP, that's not really a lot, and the Naginata Rider is going to be attempting to defend this one here. Restoration actually coming through, and that's going to get this one back up a lot of HP. I'm not exactly sure how this works. I think if you're sitting still for like a little bit of time, non-idle targets are healed at 0.5x. So it's 50 HP a second. If you go into idle, which I think takes a second or two of idle, it'll go up to 50 HP a second rather than 25 HP a second. So you could probably fully heal your Heracles if you can put him into a state of idleness there. But nonetheless, a couple of units now trying to take down the temple, but the Bushi, not Yadi, what are they called? Yumi archers, more than out. And Eisomartos' early game pressure, while it has garnered him some nice advantage here, he's got to be careful with overcommitting on these sorts of attacks. The reason why is, yeah, you can heal off the damage with your upgrade, but Bushido is coming through. Every little bit of damage coming in onto this is Bushido, and Joe can just heal these guys back up with some more Mikor coming out to heal them. So this isn't this is really not a bad trade for Joe, so long as he doesn't lose any units and just gets them back up to full HP, as that Bushido is ticking in. But Eisomarto, he's got to be happy with this. He's done a lot of good damage. A stable now coming down. He's got himself the archery range. Military Academy. The stable is obviously coming through to try and deal with those Yumi archers. Toxotes do actually out DPS these bad boys, but the Yumi archers at 18 range already outspacing when you add on top of that, on top of them, the relic, which comes with it. Now, all of a sudden, they are even more scary. As you got to be so careful with these cavalry as well. Once you can get yourself a Kitsune in, they move at 6.3 speed, which is a lot. But you do have to be careful not to lose that Kitsune to straggler Heracles or Jason or anything like that. Meanwhile, a whole bunch of Hippias will be coming through, as well as Toxotes, Hoplites. For a second there, Eisomarto was maybe considering a heroic age, but decides, nope, let's spam. There is a world here where Eisomarto forces Swampland on the second gold mine and can just run without losing all too much. I've seen a bit of a discussion around this god power and it being a little too strong. But the one difference between, say, like a restoration or a lightning weapons, so to speak, is that, well, Swampland, you can just run away from the Swampland and then it gets 0 value. If your opponent runs away from a restoration, the restoration is still going to be healing your units. If you run from a lightning weapons, they can chase you and they can continue to get damage done as you run away. Whereas, yeah, the Swampland, you can't. It doesn't get that. So it does actually make a little bit of sense that if you're going to sit inside of that Swampland, you're risking losing a lot of units there. Because that's the whole idea. It's like, get out of this position. You should not be in this position. Is basically the premise of this god power. So if you ever see Swampland coming down, just run. Don't sit in it. It's not worth it. Just play for the next part of the game. It's not that important. At least until it gets changed, if it does end up getting changed. But nonetheless, these Naginata Riders making their way through here. And there is a big fat opening into this main base, of which Joe really wants to take advantage of. He's now inside. He has alerted Eisomarto to his presence with the big red dots in there, but Eisomarto does not notice here as the villagers starting to go down. Loses 3 villagers there and a storehouse. No, he gets 1 villager out. 2 villagers and a storehouse as the Naginata Ride is now coming up to the top. You're looking for these villagers. They get brought back into the main base. Coming over onto this side, however, Hippias trying to dive in onto this position here as the villagers have been idled over onto this side. You got to love the counter-attack angle here from Eisomartos. Joe has himself Hachiman pre-queued. He wants that upgrade. It's so helpful. Villagers on the temple now going down as these Naginata Riders are just getting having an absolute field day in the main base of Eisomartos. But both players are basically just idling all of their economy here as now the Swampland does get dropped down. A couple of units do end up dying, but Eisomartos gets out without too many losses here. The only problem is, after all is said and done, who comes out on top? 31 villagers to 29 plus a Miko is out. Is it just the one? It is. No, there's 2 Miko, so it's literally a dead even game here in terms of actual income. Both players eyeing off a heroic age as well as the Dionysus is pre-queued. A couple of units are just going to sit on this position now to defend. Needs just a little bit more food to come through as now Hachiman is on the way, and the terrifying early game is over. The terrifying early game is over, which means now Eisomartos has to start thinking about defense. Joe has gotten through the craziness of the early game. He now needs to get himself his copper armor, his copper shields, his copper weapons, and then he can new moon the armory, and he's going to be able to get himself up to full bronze, which gives him a gigantic power spike here. The only negative for Joe is that he's not going to have access to Swampland here. So no super aggressive plays are going to be available, and potentially just a couple of walls and some good positioning here should be enough to get for Eisomartos to get himself through the next part. Of course, there's also that Hachiman Shogun that's going to be coming through, which is going to be another issue to have to deal with. But still, no storehouse up as this villager that might have actually saved the village. No, the village goes down. As Joe's raids still amounting to some big issues here for Eisomartos. He has not really protected himself. This is a big problem. He's protected up onto this side, but he keeps on letting Joe into his main base here, which is definitely not something you really want to have happen, as the villagers will make their way over onto this side. And Joe, he still hasn't quite gotten his upgrades, so there's a little bit more time for Eisomartos to play with. But Joe, he's got to have an inkling in the back of his mind of what this time feels like. So he can actually be planning to hit this attack. He needs to be moving over here, blocking these walls, and just be planning to hit this attack right on the completion of that copper weapons. Because then he goes straight to full bronze, huge amount of pressure, and Eisomartos will basically have to run, or he's going to need to have himself up some towers here. You'd love to have a fortress. Maybe there will be, as Joe not pushing forward is going to be actually losing a little bit of this timing advantage. But we'll have to wait and see. Random Tengu sitting off onto the bottom side of the map, just making sure no cheeky raids go through there as the walls are coming up over here. And Joe does go with the idea of a castle first and foremost on top of his gold mine, which I don't mind, but this is slowing him down quite a bit. That's 600 resources right off the bat. Then it's also the idle time of 8 villages for probably about 40 seconds or so, maybe more. So you're looking at somewhere in the vicinity of, I don't know, let's just call it 1,000 resources down the drain to get up a castle, which means that the timing is not going to hit as hard, and Eisomartos is going to feel very, very comfortable about putting up his own fortress here and looking for a defense. There is a lot of favor in the bank here as well. So all of a sudden, the fact that Eisomartos is not going to have any armory upgrades here, he does have some, but like not have full upgrades here, does effectively mean that restoration is going to carry him through at least a fight. So no crazy big timing as Joe not paying attention on his Naginata Riders there. He's going to be losing a couple of those. He's going to be pulling those back. And we will be seeing Shaft Mine coming through for Joe. He's just continuing to just mass up these units. Generally speaking, this isn't what you see from the Japanese play. You're normally seeing them kind of go, or not Japanese, the Tsukiyomi play. You're normally seeing them go pretty balls to the wall with this full bronze. Because the reason for it is, you see the differential in score a lot of this is just because the upgrades have come through. As soon as Eisomartos gets his own upgrades, sure, he has to buy them, and that hurts, but the score difference is going to be getting much, much closer, and he's not going to be able to find the big advantages he should be getting with that new moon, which does mean that, to some degree, the advantage is actually on the side of Eisomartos and the Zeus here, because he's got a restoration, because he's got bronze, and those are big, big god powers. He's also got a bolt there for the Tengu if that ever does manage to get somewhere scary. Not only that, one thing to keep in mind here is there's 10 pigs left for Eisomartos, plus the ones on the ground. On the other side, there's 2 pigs for Joe. Joe had to eat those early on, so he does have to be outside of his base on hunt. This isn't a bad thing to be outside of his base on hunt in terms of income. It just means his units are very, very out in the open and weak here. As Eisomartos now says, it's time to fight. Let's go. I've got bronze. I've got restoration. I've got myself bronze weapons and bronze shields now, but a great defensive position here for Joe does mean Eisomartos got to start thinking about the next part of this game, charging in here and trying to win right in this moment. Probably not going to happen all too often. Maybe going for some raids, hitting the main town center is an angle to go for, and all the other good stuff. A question in the chat about Bolt. You cannot bolt the Shogun. No, he has divine immunity, which means he can't be targeted by enemy god powers. Yeah. He can be targeted by friendly god powers, though, so things like Amaterasu's divine shield, solar shield, whatever it is. That one affects him, but he can't get healed, so there's no healing from that god power. As we do have Watatsumi pre-queued here. As Joe, this one's interesting. Joe's kind of missed his timing, and he's going to sit on the advantage that he has from the armory and try and convert that with a Mythic Age advance here. Only problem with this is Eisomartos can do the exact same thing, and who comes out in front after everyone loses their army? Well, probably the Zeus player is my guess. If you get a perfect Tempest versus the perfect Lightning Storm, both players then have to rebuild units. It's probably the Greek player that comes out in front on that one. Nonetheless, the raid's coming back in. Eisomartos pulling his villagers a little bit slowly. A little cheeky wall over here would be gigantic. Up. Nope, whoa, that's so brutal. Coming up to the top here, he does have another wall over onto this side. Thank you for the subscription, Viper. Appreciate you, my friend. Merry Christmas. As the villagers will pull back up to the top. Hoplites are just hanging over on here, trying to get around and deal with this, as a couple of those Peltast over onto this side are keeping these units at bay for the time being. You can basically see that, realistically, Eisomartos shouldn't really be wanting to fight here. The Naginata Riders coming around and cutting off the retreat here is going to be huge. Does he spot it? Answer is no. He doesn't spot it. Or he does spot it, but too late. He could have cut off and got a couple of shots off there, maybe gotten close to heavy, but that's not going to be in there anytime soon. Odysseus coming through. We're also going to have some catapults, Metropoli on the way to maybe try and push. Generally speaking, I wouldn't, unless you've got yourself the forward position, like where you're going to be sieging, I wouldn't build a Petropolis. Reason being is you're going to have to sit out here and defend it, which does allow your opponent to set up on you. So this can be a little bit dangerous here. If we take a quick look at the armor differential, Eisomartos is only missing bronze armor here, and he's feeling like he doesn't need it because his hoplites have already got enough bronze armor. So he's taking an advantage there by saying, I'll skip that upgrade, and then we'll move forward. As another castle coming up for Joe on the top. Watatsumi is on the way here. Realistically, all he has to do is actually take out the Petropolis and then pull back, and it's totally fine for him. The castle up here will be surviving. He's got 15 seconds remaining on that one as the Hydra up onto the top here, going after this position too. Bolt there onto the Tengu as bronze is going to be coming through. There will be some samurai popping out slowly but surely from the Shogun, but he's going to be pulling back behind his walls, back to his castle. The Peltast here are so strong, though, for Eisomartos on this position. It's not like the hoplites can just break through this spot and take it, but the Peltast are going to be able to kill off everything hanging out underneath this position. There's the Hydra coming around up onto the top. Naginata Riders hopping through here, trying to deal with all of this. Hera on the way. Watatsumi now hitting as Joe gonna have to drop his Tempest down onto this position. He does go for it. The army splitting off, but a huge amount of damage there onto the front line as Eisomartos drops down to 67 population. Absolutely gigantic usage of the Tempest there. Meanwhile, behind this, we're going to be seeing the Shinigami. We're going to be seeing the Onmyoji. Everything else going to be coming through. But you do have to remember, Hera is on the way. Joe has the advantage now, but that lightning storm can flip it right back in a moment's notice here. As the Oyumi will attempt to break through this position, does have to take out the wall first, because as you would expect, the Oyumi cannot target through a building. It's too big. It doesn't have the ability to go up and over. It goes straight through. So there's another unit. Is there another unit like that? The crossbow from the Chinese? Or does that one go flying? I think it goes up and over. Anyways, nonetheless, we've got the Onmyoji, we've got the Shinigami, we've got the units out for Joe. He's looking for a lot of pressure here. Realistically, Eisomartos shouldn't even be looking for a fight at the moment. He's got Lightning Storm to come through. Around onto the back here, the Heracles trying to get in onto this position to take out the Shinigami. As they have to pull back. If they die, it's not the end of the world. You can just, literally they come back from the dead. So that they are literally the gods of death, the Shinigami, right? And here they are, Revenant Shinigami. Now, once they do start doing that, you might want to think about getting the upgrade, because that gives them another tier to come back through. And then their third tier, they are very, very strong. As we got their asymmetrical bows coming through. And so far, I'm looking at this game going, one player's got a Mythic Age God Power and a bronze in the back pocket. And the other player here has used every single one of his power spikes in this game. So what is Joe going to be able to do next? The Bellerophon diving in, Lightning Storm gets dropped down. That's going to be hitting villagers at the top as well, as the units here will be pulling back into the castle, keeping themselves alive. Up onto the top though, those villagers do end up dying. More units in the main base falling as the walls going down, houses going down, castle getting taken down. Joe still has a very healthy army remaining, but like I said, there is still bronze in the back pocket for Eisomartos here. Is the army going to charge in onto these Petropoli? The Peltas trying to get in onto this back line as well. Not going to be dropping that bronze just yet. Up onto the top, there is this castle there as these villagers, I don't know what they're doing, but they will be heading over there. Does Eisomartos know about that? He does know that there's something going on over there, as the Petropoli can make their way up to this top side and be completely fine where that's concerned. Joe going to keep on pumping out Naginata Riders as Eisomartos makes his way to the top side of the map. Now they come over, going to take out the castle, move on to this side, a couple of hoplites falling, but not too much of a big deal for Eisomartos. At this point, these little mini losses really don't matter that much. Actually, the big question here is what upgrade do you go for here, or God Power do you go for here if you're Eisomartos? I'm actually feeling like the Restoration is maybe the better idea than a bronze, because he charges forward, and there he does decide to do it. Which does mean that the hoplites are going to be able to stay alive forever on that front line, allowing the Peltash to clean up all of the Yumi horse archers, but simply just run away is not a bad idea where that's concerned, as the Bellerophon onto the top side just eating these villagers alive. He is such an insanely strong raider. He can also jump out of here if he wants to, as the Peltasts do get dove in onto this back position. The hoplites will be able to move over and start protecting them. The Naginata Riders getting a lot of good damage onto that fight. They're still a long way away from champion upgrades. as more Medusa are actually coming through. I love that idea. Medusa are such a strong unit against Japan because all of their units effectively are high value units. So one hitting them is just max value. Some walls to come up to grab those. Gazelle onto this side. The castle will end up going down. The villagers over here will end up going down as well. And Eisomartos showing the business here, as Joe has no gold, or he's a little bit of gold income remaining, but not much else. 5.4k military resource value to 1.1k, and Eisomartos takes the win against the terrifying presence that is Tsukiyomi in this one, showing everyone how it's done. I really like this. I think this is incredibly instructional into the way to play versus this god. So the natural tendency in Age of Mythology for people who've got no idea what they're doing is to say, oh, we're playing the game, right? We're both at an equal point, right? Nothing's happened. I haven't lost any villages. They haven't lost any villages either. That means I should be looking for like little bits of value here or there, little bits of raids here or there, or maybe taking a fight if it feels favorable for me, like in terms of like the engagement angle and things like that. All of those things ring true, except when we start mixing in power spikes. If your opponent's in a power spike, you really don't want to be taking a fight against them. And Tsukiyomi is full of these power spikes. New Moon, Swampland, this Watatsumi Tempest thing, the gate, all of this stuff, like the Tengu and with Shogun as well. All of this stuff is such big power spikes that what you want to try and do is you want to limit your opponent's ability to actually be able to take the fights inside of those moments. Give yourself that extra time to actually get those resources in so you can catch up a little bit, and then you're going to be able to find yourself in a really nice position like Eisomartos did here in order to break back against all of this. This is a super instructional game from Eisomartos. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.